everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you couldn't tell by the last video I posted and all the shorts I've been posting, I'm currently in my book rebinding era, and today I am going to show you guys how I rebinded Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber with this super pretty like corset lace-up spine detail. If you don't want to make your own, I do sell these on my Etsy, a little self-plug, go check it out. I also have some other books on there and I do custom book rebindings if you are interested. And with all that, let's just get into this video. Okay, so here is the book. I got a paperback book and I put one of the ends in between two pieces of wood and some clamps, and then I got some pearlescent acrylic paint. Nothing too fancy here. And then my trick is to take a makeup brush or just a really fluffy brush. I actually recently got ink blending brushes and those things have been amazing. But in this video, I'm just using a makeup brush, which works just fine. And you just paint on your books. Just make sure it's really even and the layers are thin. Don't try to do like 3 or 4 layers because then it would make it hard to separate the pages. I do the two ends first and then I crack them, which is really satisfying. And then I do the like long edge, just the same way, the makeup brush, and then I crack it. Okay, since I do sell these books, I just have a template cut out here of the size of the covers I need, but basically the measurements I use is the height of the book plus ½ an inch so that the top and the bottom has 1/4 of an inch hangover, and then the width of the book plus 1/8 of an inch. So that's the size of my template here, and I just trace it out onto some chipboard. I get this from Hollander's. I'll put all the materials I use down below. Yeah, I just cut it out with a box cutter. Just go slow with this and make sure your lines are super straight and even. And then I take 2 pieces of cardstock, the same height of the chipboard, and this is going to be used to create this like the hinge and the part where the grommets are attached to on the book. So I don't know why I didn't film this, but I measured out 5/16 of an inch and then 3/16 of an inch from the edge. And here's a little graphic because you can't really tell in the video, and then I glued the extra part onto each piece of chipboard. Okay, and now we're back with our paperback with our nicely painted edges, and this is the scary part. Just hold your breath and tear off that cover. I know it hurts. And then for my end papers, I printed out these really pretty pictures. I just found them on Pinterest. And then I cut them out to fit the size of my book if they're folded in half, if that makes sense. You can also just use any plain cardstock. You don't need anything too fancy. And then you have to glue them onto your book. I just use a piece of paper as a guide so I don't get glue everywhere, as you can see. Then I just stick it on nice and well. Here's the book cloth I'm using. It's a bit lighter than what I showed in the beginning because this customer requested a lighter color. I'll put both book cloths in the description for you. Honestly, this one was a bit thinner, I noticed. It kind of wrinkled a bit, but the color is so pretty. It was totally worth it. But basically, I just measure out. I do all my measurements first before I cut anything out because, you know, measure twice, cut once. But basically, I just cut out 2 pieces the size of the bookboard with the cardstock. If that makes sense. You can see what I'm doing here. I basically cut out 2 pieces plus that size plus 1 inch on either side. And then I just cut them out. I am very particular with how I glue because I like those nice crisp folds. So what I do is I just glue the chipboard first, no glue on the cardstock, stick it down really nice and well. I let it dry and then I add glue to the cardstock plus that little edge that I didn't get before, if that makes sense. And then I fold it down really nice with my bone folder. And it leaves you with a really nice crisp edge. And then I take an extra piece of book cloth and a piece of cardstock the size of my spine, and I just glue that cardstock to the book cloth so that I can attach it to the spine later, so you don't see any like glue and stuff on the spine. And then, sorry for the lighting changes, I made this book over the course of a few days, and I usually work at night, so that's why it's kind of dark. But anyway, I just cut off the corners of all my pieces, including that little cardstock piece in the middle. And then I fold over the edges to make them nice and crisp. I always fold them over and then add the glue. It just makes it easier. And then I do that to the covers as well. And now I have my text block here again, and I'm gonna put them back in the clamps with the wood so we can work on the spine. I bought a pack of headbands in bulk. These are purely for decoration. They are not necessary, but I love the look of them. And then I cut out a piece of cheesecloth and then that piece of cardstock we had earlier. This is the time if you want like a ribbon bookmark, you can add that in too. But I basically just glue on the headbands first. I do the decorative elements first, and then I add a lot of glue to the spine and then add in the cheesecloth. You really need just any thin fabric. They do have specific cloth for bookbinding though if you want to get fancy, but I just use cheesecloth because it's what I had. And I use a lot of glue because you want your spine to be strong. And then I add on that piece of cardstock. Just be careful not to get glue on the outside of it. Okay, and now we have our covers here, and I'm just taking my bone folder and making the crease of the hinge, if that makes sense. You can see me folding it here just to make it, oh my god, I don't know what I'm saying. You just use your bone folder to like enhance the crease that was already there in the cardstock, if that makes sense. And now for the cover, I designed this cover in Procreate on my iPad, and I just brought it into Cricut and resized it to fit my books. Always make sure you mirror your designs if you're using heat transfer vinyl, and I always use the premium vinyl with more pressure on my Cricut, and always make sure you have the shiny side of your vinyl down. And then I just put it in my Cricut. I have an Explorer Air 2. There's other machines like the Silhouette or the Cameo. If you don't have a cutting machine, you don't need it. There's multiple ways on how to make a pretty book cover without heat transfer vinyl. I'm just a crafty person and I've had this machine for a while, so that's why I'm using it. But you can always just decorate with like paint, or you could do like the iron-on vinyl. You could print out a design on that and just iron it on. And then you can see me here, I'm just weeding out my design. This is one of the most time-consuming yet therapeutic things, I think. Unless it's a super complicated design, then it gets like kind of annoying. But this design isn't too complicated compared to some of the designs I do have. So yeah, just put on a movie or a video in the background or some music and you're good. A tip for weeding out like little letters, like quotes, because I always put like quotes on the back of my books. I don't know why I didn't film it here, but I use an X-Acto knife to like score the vinyl in between the lines so I can just peel each line up individually, if that makes sense. You can see it here. Yeah. And here is the back, nice and pretty. I just put it on like a laminate sheet just to keep dust from getting on the back sticky part. Then I do the front. So nice. Okay, and now I have to iron it on. So just follow the instructions of your heat transfer vinyl. I basically just have to heat up the surface first, so that's what I'm doing. Then I place on my design and iron it on. Well, I use a heat press, but you can also use an iron. You basically just need pressure and time. Just read your directions to know how long, because if you hold it on for too long, you could like burn it or like melt it, and it gets all like warpy and not cute. So yeah, I just basically just do it on both sides, and then again, read your directions, because my heat transfer vinyl is a cold peel, so it has to cool down before I can peel off that plastic layer, and since I'm impatient, I usually use an ice pack to speed that up. And then you can peel off your plastic to leave you with your nice design, and I always go over it one more time with some parchment paper in between. And then my camera ran out of memory when I was doing like one of the most important steps, so here I am reenacting it. But basically I just measure out where I want the grommets to go. I have that guide since, like I said, I make multiple of these, and then I use a pointy tool like my weighting tool to poke holes through it. And then I use a bigger pointy tool, I don't even know what this is, but I just have it on hand to poke even bigger holes so that my grommets can fit through it. Just be careful with this, because if you go too fast, you could easily accidentally poke through the thing, and then you like can't put a grommet there. So just be careful. Sometimes I use a dab of glue to like reinforce the edges. But yeah, and then I take my grommets. These are 3mm grommets. They're really, really tiny. And I just put them in that container to like hold them better. So basically you put the tall side through the hole you made. Sometimes you have to go in again to make it a little bit bigger, which is always scary. And then you turn it over and put it on the little tool. I am so bad at filming, this is so bad, I'm sorry guys. And then you basically put the little donut thing over the tall piece, and then you take the long tool and hammer it in. Sorry if that is confusing. I did my best to show you guys, but if you're confused, it's pretty simple. Like, once you see the tools, you can kind of understand how to use them. But yeah, just do that 21 more times, then you'll have a nicely grommeted book. Okay, here it is, I'm showing you guys. Ooh, so pretty. Okay, and now you have your covers and your text block that's fully dry, and now I'm just measuring where I want my text block to fit. And that pen I'm using, it goes away with heat. It's like one of those friction pens. So I just mark it out on my book cloth, and then I use a piece of parchment in between my book because we don't want to get glue all over the other pages. Just add a generous amount of glue, but not too much. You want to smooth it out so it's thin. And then you place it on to your cover. The way I do it is like kind of strange, but you can see I just line it up with the marks we made earlier and then use my bone folder to like smooth it out. And then I put a piece of clean parchment in between those pages so that again, the glue doesn't leak everywhere. And then I do that again, and then once that's done, I put it in a book press. And then I just iron off the friction pen marks. And then once your book is nice and pressed, the last step is to lace it up with some ribbon. And don't rush this step. Just be mindful because you don't want the ribbon to look super twisted and messy, which can happen pretty easily. And then I cut off the excess and burn the edges so that they don't fray everywhere. And then you're basically done. And that is how I rebinded Once Upon a Broken Heart. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do follow this tutorial, please tag me on like Instagram or TikTok. All my socials will be down below, so you can check those out. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for watching.